All right, don't say we didn't warn you that this honor system doesn't always work, because now we know what happened to those tens of thousands of families that crossed into the country illegally, and we're told to report back. A new report finds that 70% who were detained and later released never showed up for that mandatory follow-up meeting. Shock of shocks. Border Patrol agent Chris Cavuto, not at all surprised. He joins us now on the phone. This is hardly warning a Fox alert, but yet I guess to some in government it is. Not to you, though.
No, we foresaw this coming. This has happened in the past. We've seen the numbers reach into the 90% mark in the last decade. So quite frankly, it's not all that shocking to us. What is shocking is that we continue to do the same thing over and over and expect a different result.
What was the understanding that let's say left you have a court date to return and do this, but there was no threat or any action or any monitoring of these guys? What can you tell us?
Yeah, there's really no monitoring. It's a report in. Sometime in the future, there's a date set. Sometimes the dates are as far out as 2 years away. And they're supposed to go to the nearest immigration court, usually from where they're caught, unless they get in the system somehow with on the computer and change their court date. But most of them, they just use that piece of paper to get past the checkpoint, and then they disappear into the United States.
Chris, do we know anything about all of those that came in, or the 70% of these folks who never bothered showing up again? How many might have been dangerous, whether in the interim we started to do our homework and realize, oh, my gosh, some of them are pretty dangerous? Anything like that?
You know, we don't. We usually know their criminal history, at least in our country, when we apprehend them. They classify them at different risks. Unfortunately, once some of them do get detained, they end up getting released due to overcrowding. And so even the ones that we deem dangerous, they end up getting released anyway.
You know, Chris, I'm thinking of all the latest ISIS stuff, this incident in Oklahoma that kind of scares me. We don't know, obviously, if that's tied to any terrorist action, or the beheading of a woman does raise immediate concerns. Do you think it is possible, then, that nefarious elements, dangerous elements, just outright really dangerous people could be going through this very porous border that you try to keep track of as we speak?
Yeah, you know, I think it's a guarantee. You know, we have a very porous border. We have the majority of our area down here is covered, and I think for us to think that it's not happening, we'd be fooling ourselves.
All right, then real quickly on these 70% of these folks that have not shown up, and there's obviously very little impetus for them to show up. So where do you think, I know it's just a sort of a gut call, but where do you think they are?
They're most likely in our public school systems. You know, they could be anywhere, but, you know, who knows?
Amazing, amazing. Chris, thank you very much.